Welcome to this guidance on human factors in SIRE 2.0 inspections. OCIMF has provided this guidance to support vessel owners and operators to help them understand what to expect from the human factors component of SIRE 2.0. It offers help on responding to human factor observations, as well as guidance on applying human factors to support your crew to be successful in their important work. There are 5 sections in this guide. In the first section, we'll look at why human factors help us to operate a vessel. We'll hear about OCIMF's human factor approach, and we'll think about why we inspect vessels and ask what a good inspection looks like. In Section 2, we look at risk and the barriers that protect us against risk. We talk about what people do to make barriers work. We'll begin to see how inspections can give a vessel useful information on important tasks. We'll also talk about some of the factors that help people do those tasks well. In Section 3, we'll look at what you can expect from the human factors part of the inspection. We'll hear about the inspectors and how the inspector works with the crew. In Section 4, we'll look at how to respond to human factor observations. We'll talk about what we can learn from them and use a rule of thumb to get the most benefit from them. Finally, although it's helpful to have information about your barriers shown to you through inspections, a company can spot human factor issues and address them outside of inspections. In this section, we will also talk about resources for a company to build a human factor strategy to strengthen their own approach. SIRE 2.0 is paying much more attention to the people component of how a vessel operates. People, of course, are a vital part of making a vessel work. In fact, a vessel just couldn't do its job without them. As well as the important tasks, operations and maintenance that a crew performs, the crew are uniquely able to spot problems and adapt to changing situations. In fact, this adaptability is a superpower for people. Without the crew, the vessel couldn't sail safely, equipment wouldn't work, and the vessel couldn't do its job. That said, the crew will struggle to do its job if hardware doesn't work well, if procedures aren't helpful, or if there are conditions which make tasks more difficult to do. Human factors give you amazing opportunities to make the things you rely on to protect your vessel even more reliable and effective. The OCIMF human factor principles summarize what we know about human factors and how to put them into practice. We recognize that we are all human and we all make mistakes. Even the most diligent and hard-working of us get things wrong, misjudge things, or do things that we wouldn't have done with the benefit of hindsight. Human variability is perfectly normal, and we have to accept and expect it. People's actions are rarely malicious and usually make sense to them at the time. We recognize that we have an industry packed with great people. If they sometimes do something that seems weird in hindsight, it probably made sense in the circumstances that they were in. Mistakes are typically due to conditions and systems that make work difficult. Human variability is inevitable, but we can manage it by understanding the conditions in which mistakes happen and help prevent or correct them. People know the most about their work and are key to any solution. Planned tools and activities can be designed to reduce mistakes and manage risk better. This means we can understand the problems people have because these are where the errors and adaptations happen. We can work with the frontline to understand and address these issues. Finally, leadership really matters. Leaders help shape the conditions that influence what people do, and it matters how leaders respond when things go wrong. Take the opportunity to learn. Leaders influence the processes and systems people work with. Most importantly, if leaders respond with an eagerness to learn and avoid blame when things go wrong, people will be more open with problems and companies can fix issues long before bad stuff happens. This is not about being nice or fancy psychological theories. This is a hard-headed focus on risk. OCIMF is dedicated to reducing risk to crew, vessels and terminals, especially concerning those risks that sink vessels and destroy lives and environments. That's why risk forms the roof of the human factor approach. The pillars show where human involvement is critical to get right. We have already seen that leadership matters and creates the culture you want. We need well-executed tasks and procedures because many of a vessel's barriers against risk rely on tasks people do. We want straightforward and intuitive design for hardware and controls, and to give people skills that allow them to respond in the dynamic and rapidly changing environment that shipping operates in. Finally, it's good to learn from incidents, but it's better to learn by seeing the conditions before bad stuff happens, and that's where inspections can really help you. OCIMF is building this on a foundation of growing capability in human factors, integrating human factors into maritime systems, including the SIRE inspection process, and being an advocate of the value of human factors to the marine industry. OCIMF has published a range of advice on human factors, including the Human Factors Management and Self-Assessment Information Paper, describing TMSA-like indicators for a company wanting to implement a human factors program. Let's pause and think about why we inspect vessels. There are good reasons, of course. We inspect vessels because we care about the safety and welfare of the crews that operate them. We recognize that shipping is a dynamic and fast-moving environment, and we rely on people to be adaptable and flexible to keep the vessel safe. We care that our operations do not damage the world we share. In fact, we inspect because we want our industry to be one of the safest and best places to work in maritime. Everybody wants every voyage to be safe and successful, and inspections are an opportunity to learn about how well the systems that protect our vessels are working. If we think for a moment about what a good inspection would look like, we would want the professionalism and adaptability of the crews to be recognized and supported. Crews and inspectors would all feel like they were working to the common goal of staying safe. People would feel able to talk about things which might not work well enough. The vessel and company would feel it had learned something about its operation, including what works really well and where there are opportunities to improve. And inspectors would test the vulnerabilities of a protective system in a safe way, so that crews can rely on barriers when they really need them. As OCIMF's program director says, a safe vessel is one that ensures the presence and effectiveness of the barriers that protect against risk.